Well, Libby Squire was abducted, raped and murdered while walking home from a night out in Hull in 2019. She was just 21 years old. Her killer's offending had begun as voyeurism, watching young women, breaking into their homes to steal intimate items. The judge who sent him to prison for Libby's murder said he was emboldened to escalate his offences because he hadn't been stopped. Well, today, Libby's mum, who is calling for tougher sentences for these so-called lower-level crimes, took her campaign to Parliament.
I never questioned as to why the police hadn't caught him, because his offending was very different on each occasion. But I could see a link between his offending and then the eventual rape and murder of my daughter. And over the 18 months prior to her dying, he had escalated massively. And nobody seemed to know anything about it, or it was still, to me, was still seen as like the seaside postcard. Oh, you know, dirty old man flashed at you, you know. And it's not that. It's incredibly serious. Not all non-contact sexual offenders will go on to rape and murder, but some do. And to me, you need to, if we can stop it here, then we're going to save women and girls from the absolute trauma of being raped.
Lisa Squire is here with me in the studio tonight. Lisa, how are you? Big day for you.
Yes, it's been busy.
Yeah, giving evidence like that. I just want to pick up on that final bit you were saying there in that clip we showed, which is about the attitude to non-contact sexual offences. I alluded to it in the intro. Men dismissed as peeping toms, you know. We all heard it when we were younger about, you know, going to the park, or watch out, there's a man that hangs around in the bushes there. It was spoken in such flippant terms, but it's so serious. That's the starting point, isn't it? Getting attitudes to change, because it is a big deal.
Yes, it really is a big deal. And even the term lower level sex offences diminishes it, doesn't it? I mean, they are sex offences. And yeah, we need to completely change the way we look at these things and our attitudes towards them, most definitely.
Talk to me about the man who murdered Libby, and in the investigation into her abduction, rape and murder, details came out about his history of offending, and it was these, again, you hate to use the term, but they're classed as lower level offences. Talk to me about the picture that you put together of what was happening before he crossed paths with your daughter.
Once we had all the information, you can quite clearly see an escalation from the lower end of the lower, sort of lower crimes, right up until the weekend before he killed her, where he had escalated quite significantly. And it was kind of obvious that was the trajectory he was taking, and, you know, he was going to do what he did to Libby. He was going to do that regardless. In the 18 months before Libby's murder, he was convicted of a series of non-contact sexual offences on women in Hull. 4 offences of voyeurism, 3 counts of burglary, 2 counts of outraging public decency. In the 3 weeks before he got to Libby, he stalked young women at night and followed them home. Now, you've learned this after the event. This pattern has emerged, but these are the kind of patterns that need to be established to spot the men, not all of them, who go on to commit these serious crimes, but some of them do. And this is vital, isn't it, spotting these red flags? Absolutely. And the only way we can spot them is if women report them. So reporting is a massive part of it, and actually then taking action, the police taking action when they've been reported. Women don't report these low-level offences. I want to find another word for it. Let's just call them offences. Yeah, women don't report them. They're dismissed. If they confide in someone, it's like, oh, it's no big deal, he didn't touch you, or there's no harm done. Yes. But it is a red flag. If a man is following you home at night, if a man is sending you unsolicited sexual content on your mobile phone, that is an offence, and it should be reported because it helps build that pattern. It does, yes, and it's not normal behaviour. Normal men don't do these things, so, yeah, absolutely has to be reported. And you're not making something out of nothing, you are reporting what has happened to you. You also talk about tougher sentencing, not just for voyeurism and indecent exposure. But in the main, for sexual crimes, I mean, your daughter is at the extreme end of the scale, abduction, rape and murder.
Yeah.
And her murderer was given a life sentence with a minimum of 27 years. He committed this crime when he was 24?
24.
So he'll be out in his early 50s.
Yes.
How does that sit with you?
Originally, I wasn't really bothered about the sentence. That's definitely changed now. I don't think he should ever get out of prison. When he comes out, as you said, he'll be in his early 50s. He'll have the chance to travel, to, you know, maybe marry again, to have children, to have a job. You know, he can do all those things that Libby never had the chance to do. And everybody knows you don't kill. You don't, you know, you don't do that. So if you do that, to me, you should then forfeit your life by spending the rest of it in prison.
It's just not just forfeiting a life that he stole from someone else. It's also, you believe, the risk of him reoffending, because you talked today to MPs about treatment for sex offenders and it being in prison, because you don't think that is happening, and that certainly won't be happening, you don't think, here. And that is the risk, that if he gets out in his 50s, he's presumably been in a prison surrounded by other sex offenders. That doesn't help someone not carry out these crimes.
Absolutely.
May just fuel it.
Absolutely. I would have thought so, yes. I mean, the perpetrators of the lower level stuff, if we can... I do believe they have to be punished, but I think if you can help them and unpick those patterns in their minds, then, you know, hopefully when they are released, they won't go on to reoffend. But Relowicz, for instance, he will be in prison for, you know, best part of 30 years, like you say, with other sex offenders. His life will be all about sex offences. And I can't see any reason why he wouldn't come out and reoffend.
Libby was the victim of a non-contact sexual offence just months before she was murdered. Can you tell me about that? What was the conversation like between the two of you after she told you it had happened?
Yes, she was walking home with a friend and a man exposed himself to them. And as soon as she got home, she rang me and she was absolutely furious. She was like, how dare he think he can do that to me? So, you know, she was raging and really angry, and we talked it through and calmed her down and sort of said, well, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm fine, but I'm really angry. And, you know, we just said our usual goodbyes. I didn't think to tell her to go and report it to the police.
And she probably didn't
think to report it. I didn't know better then. I do know better now. But, yeah, it was... And I think that is very standard. My reaction at the time was very standard. It was very much, well, you're not hurt, you are okay, you know, you've talked it through. Do you want me to come and get you? She said, no, Mum, I'm fine, I'm fine. And we left it at that.
Who knows what this man has gone on to do. And I think every woman watching this interview tonight will have had some experience of a non-contact sexual offence. I have. I didn't report it. Have you?
I have, yes. And in my circle of friends, and I have quite a wide circle of friends, the majority of us have experienced a non-contact sexual offence.
To get authorities to take this seriously, women and the men around women, fathers, husbands, sons, attitudes need to change, because, again, low-level offence, it isn't a low-level offence, it is an offence.
Yeah. It's the starting block to, you know, the ultimate offence, I suppose.
And it plays into misogyny. And I know you're very passionate about talking to men and young boys. And when you talk about receiving treatment in prison, sexual offenders, about unpicking the thread that has got them to a place of offending, and finding out how that all started, because boys don't... You know, they're not born hating women, wanting to hurt women. No. Something happens along the way.
And we need to retrain their thoughts, you know, and help them with that. You know, I mean, I don't think there's enough help for men in general. And then men, you know, generally don't go and seek help, do they? Women do. We talk things through with our girlfriends. I can't see a man saying to his best mate, I've got this urge to go and expose myself. It doesn't happen. So we should be, maybe, it's going to sound a bit strange, but maybe a bit understanding and give them the help that they require or need. Not they require, they need.
That's an incredibly generous thing to say, given what's happened to your family and your daughter?
Yeah, but if Relowicz had had that help in the very first instant, if there was help available then, he wouldn't have gone on. I would hope he wouldn't have gone on to do what he did, and I wouldn't be sat here talking to you now.
Tell us about Libby.
She was amazing, is amazing, still is amazing. Fabulous family. Very into her family. She was very funny. Had loads of, really. She was just amazing. I mean, a wonderful daughter, fantastic big sister. Yeah. She was and incredibly generous. And what you saw was what you got with Libby. And she was just, she was like There's obviously 6 of us in our family, and now there's only 5, physically here. But she's still very.
There'll always
present.
be 6.
Yeah, she's still very present, and she's left a huge hole. There's a huge hole been left in our family, but the children are amazing, and it's different, but keep on
I can
fighting
see where she got her generosity of spirit from, and you're doing her proud by standing up for women and girls, talking about non-contact sex crimes and the importance of reporting them. Don't dismiss them, report them. Lisa, thank you so much, and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.